Hey guys, I'm back with another video to teach you how to build web applications with React. So in this video, we are going to learn a very important feature that we usually build in our React applications. That is how to display any particular React.js component on click of a button. So this feature can be helpful in many scenarios. I'll show you some examples where this feature can be helpful for us. For example, it can be helpful in building the different tabs or the navigation bars. You can see on the screen there is a navigation bar with 4 buttons. So if I click on any particular button, I see that particular component on the page. So if I click on about, I see the about component. If I click on news, I see only the news component, and all other components are kind of hidden. So another example where this feature can be helpful is FAQ sections. I'll show you FAQ section of YouTube. So here on YouTube, they have FAQ section with different topics. So if I click on any of the topic, it expands and it shows more details on that topic. So this is happening on a click of a button. So basically on a click of a button, I'm showing another component below this, and we will learn how to do that, how to display any component on click of a button. So in this video, I'm going to use the example of a navigation bar, but you can go and implement this feature in any of the React applications. So before we start coding this simple application, make sure you don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. So let's go to the code editor and start coding this React application. So guys, you can see on the screen I have this fresh React application that's running on my local host 3000. So we'll start building the feature in this application. So let's go back to the code editor. So the first thing that we are going to do in this application is to remove all the default code that is here, and we'll say hello world just to see if it's working fine. So it's working fine. So to build the feature where we are able to display the components on a click of a button, first thing we have to do is to build a component. So under the source folder, I'm going to create another folder that is components. So under the components, I'm going to create 4 components: home.js, news.js, another component is contact.js, and the last component was about.js. So basically we are trying to replicate the application that we have seen in the introduction. So in each of the component, I'm going to create a functional components. So for that I use some kind of extension. So this extension helps us to create the component very quickly. If you want to learn how to use this extension in VS Code, leave it in the comments. I'll make a separate video on that. So I'll say on this page I am home page. So we'll give some styling to this so it's very clearly visible on the screen. I'm going to increase the font size of this to 100 pixels just to make it visible on the screen. I'm also going to say the font weight should be bold, and also I'm going to give some margin top 5%. So our first component is ready to be used. I'm going to basically copy this component and put it in news.js. I'm just going to change the name of this component to news. So this is a second component that is also ready. So we are going to copy this and put it in the contact, change the name to contact. So our three components are ready. I'm going to copy it also in about.js and change the name of the component to about. So we have all the 4 components ready under the components folder. I'm going to go to app.js and import all these components here. So import home, import about, import contact, import new. So we have all the 4 components here. So I'm going to display all the components into a React application just to see if everything is working fine with the components. So this is home, about, news, and contact. Save it and see it on the screen. So as of now, everything seems to be working fine. We got all the 4 components on the screen. So now what we want to do is we want to build a simple navigation bar here, and we want to display each component based on a click of a button on the navigation bar. So we are going to build a navigation bar. For this, I'm just going to find some code on W3 schools navigation bar. So I'm going to click on the first link and I should be able to find a code for the navigation bar here. I'm going to select a horizontal navigation bar and we'll go to the bottom. So this is a kind of navigation bar we are looking at, and we want this navigation bar in a React application. So I'm going to try this. So here we got the code for this kind of navigation bar. I'm going to copy all the HTML from here, go to my React application. So I'm going to keep these components and I'm going to build the navigation bar on top of that. So we got all the HTML here, and from the website we are also going to copy all the CSS. So we can copy all the CSS and go back to the React application and put it in app.css. That's where all the CSS is. So after copying all the HTML and CSS from the website, we'll go back to the screen again to see how the navigation bar looks. So here we can see the navigation bar is ready and looks fine. So I'm going to close all these tabs here. Now what we want is, as of now, all these components are on the screen. Doesn't matter on which button I click, it's just there on the screen. So this is where we start putting some conditions, like if I click on the news page, I should only be able to see this component and all other three components should be hidden. So to do that, we are going to go back to a React application. So first thing we are going to do is we have copied this HTML from there. So in this HTML, we don't need all this hrefs. We can remove all the links. Okay, so I've removed all the links. We can see on the screen our navigation bar is still fine. We can click on any of them, but the thing is, it's not, we need to put some conditions and show these components based on a click of a button. So to do that, let's import some things first. I'm going to import React and use state from React. So we are going to create one state variable in our app.js, and this state variable is going to be page, set page. So I'm going to set the default value of this page to home. So we have done nothing interesting. We have just created a state variable and we have set the value to home. So now here we are going to put some conditions on the pages. Okay, using this state variable. So here I'm going to say that if my page is equal to home, then only I want to see this home component. Basically, I'm going to display this home component only if my page variable is equal to home, and by default it is equal to home. What about the other components? So we are going to copy this condition 3 more times. I'm going to say if my page is equal to about, then show my about component. If my page is equal to contact, show my contact component. If my page is equal to news, then show the news component. So all good as of now. We just created one state variable setting its value to home, and we put some conditions based on this variable, and let's see how our application looks. So in our application we can see that all other components are hidden and we are only able to see the home page. Why is that? Because by default, if you see, the value of our state variable is home, and this condition is being satisfied, and that's why we are able to see the home component on the screen. So initially all these conditions are false. Page is not equal to about, page is not equal to contact, page is not equal to news, and that is the reason all these components are now hidden. They are not visible on the screen. So now how to make them visible on a click of a button? So for this we are going to use some click events on these buttons. So what we want is, when I click on the news button, I should be able to see the news page here. So let's go back to the code and see how we can achieve this. So in order to show the news page, the value of my variable page should be equal to news. So basically what I'm going to do is, I have the button here that is news. So what I'm going to say is, on click, when somebody clicks on this button, I'm going to create a function and set the page value to news. So basically when we start the application, the default value of the page is home, but if somebody clicks on the news button, the value is going to change to news. And as soon as the value is changed to news, we should be able to see the news component on the screen. So let's go and test this logic. So if I refresh my application, I can see the home page. If I click on contact, nothing happens. If I click on about, nothing happens. But if I click on news, I should be able to see the news page. But now if I click back on home, I'm not able to go to the home page again. But if I refresh the application, then it goes back to the home. So basically we need event listeners on all these three buttons as well. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to copy this on click logic and put it here. So put it on all the buttons and change the values based on the button. So it's a contact. So I'm going to change the value of page to contact. For the about, I'll change to about. And if somebody clicks back on the home page, the value of the page should be changed back to home. So we have put all the event listeners here, which is on click of a button, we change the value of the variable page. And based on the value of the variable page, we decide which component to show on the screen. So all this logic should be working fine now. We'll go and test it again. So now on refreshing the application, I can see the home component. If I click on news, I see the news component. If I click on contact, I see contact. If I click on about, I'm able to see the about component. And if I click back on home again, I'm again able to go back to the home page. So guys, this is how we display any React.js component on click of a button. So basically we are using only the on-click event listeners to be able to listen to the click of a button. And based on that, we are using a state variable, and based on the value of the state variable, we decide which component to show on the screen. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. Thank you so much.